In 2017, the China-India co-production film industry released a movie called Kung Fu Yoga, or Gong Fu Yujia, which my mom and I had decided to watch together at the theaters in Xi'an. While I was at the cinema, before and after the movie, I heard quite a few discussions around me about India and China and how the two nations are intertwined historically, the relationship between our two neighboring countries, and how we know one another in each other's eyes. After finishing the movie, I was curious as to why the movie was named Kung Fu Yoga, because there's barely any yoga in it. After discussing it with my mom, I realized that it could be related to the stereotypes one might perceive regarding our two nations. For example, Kung Fu and Jackie Chan are often associated with China, while Raj Kapoor from the sensational movie Avara and yoga are usually followed up with the mentioning of India. When I first arrived in China during the 2008 Beijing Olympics, and till now, I've often had numerous conversations about India with various people, such as my teachers and my friends, my mentors, and even the taxi drivers. And one thing everyone would always mention would be the song Avara Hu from the 1950s Bollywood film. This was one of the first iconic Indian films which was released in China. Another film with similar status would be Three Idiots, portraying the tough and stringent education system of India and the immense pressure students face, which is predominantly similar to China as well. I think this might have been one of the key factors as to why this movie performed so successfully at both the Indian and Chinese box offices, because the students and the youth of both nations could highly relate to the movie, as both India and China have very similar education styles and systems, which are exam-oriented and highly competitive in nature due to each nation's staggering population. I witnessed firsthand how relatable the movie was to the Chinese public as well, because in my first year at Tsinghua University for aerospace engineering, one of my professors actually played a famous clip from the Three Idiots movie, where the student was asked to define a machine, and he answered with his jeans zipper. Our professor was trying to convey the message that he would prefer students to understand the contents of his class instead of just recalling and reciting the textbook's definitions verbatim. With these pre-constructed notions and misconceptions, we've already taken the first steps all the way from 1951, continuing until 2051, of what we both nations understand and acknowledge about each other. China and India lack a comprehensive and rational understanding of each other. In India, China is often viewed as a dangerous competitor. The media sadly portrays China in this way. In China, there's a certain dislike and distrust towards India, which leads to China not viewing India as a potential regional and global powerhouse open for cooperation. A recent poll shows that 2/3 of the Chinese respondents had negative views about India, and only 23% of the Indian interviews actually believed that the relationship between India and China was cooperative. Therefore, I would like to propose that both the Indian and Chinese governments highly consider promoting a mutual exchange of broadcasting news channels. Language could be a potential barrier to the solution. So a viable alternative would be to have a special weekly talk show or weekly news recap on the promoted news channels. With an increased number of sources of information for the citizens of India and China, the general public can start understanding the culture, the people, and neighboring government, which in turn leads to helping reduce animosity and grievances long term, as the future leaders of India and China will have a profound understanding and will help usher in a new era of Indo-China relations. I believe there's a positive future for the bilateral relationship between India and China, as we share many common interests. For example, our economic structures are complementary. Furthermore, China is a manufacturing power and India is a major worldwide player in the service industry. Both countries face similar problems in domestic, economic, and social development, and can aid each other and share their experiences in approaching these. If both India and China can embrace their responsibility and facilitate greater regional integration, the sky is the limit to what can be achieved together. With the focus on India-China relations becoming regional brothers, or Hindi Chini Bhai Bhai, improving relations will lead to strengthening coordination and communications at regional and global institutions, such as BRICS, AIIB, the G25 Summit, ASEAN, and the United Nations, promoting open regionalism and rejecting the notion that East Asia, Southeast Asia, and South Asia are separate blocks. As a young international college student, I firmly believe that we should create a special Indo-China scholarship to cultivate a new wave of exchange students at the tertiary level education institutions for deepening bilateral relations. With this new avenue of opportunity available, the students of both China and India can consider and be offered a new place/destination for elite higher education other than in the West. Another measure to be enacted could be to have an India-China Olympiad-based math and science competitions. Through these competitions, the young generations can empower their career and academic goals while simultaneously learning about their neighbors, their culture, and their values. I'm a firm believer that India-China relations can only improve through people-to-people connections. It is only when the youth of the two nations interact, share their opinions, outlooks, and aspirations through open dialogue that they can become positive agents of change for the future generations.